All right. Yo, what is good? It is your boy Lincoln Clay, the godfather of gaming, the ageless wonder. You know what to do. Hit the bell icon, hit the like button. The rest will take care of itself. If you are new to the channel, welcome aboard. I hope you are enjoying the content. What is good, everybody? What is good? Ice Queen Gaming, how are you? Hope you are having a good day today. Boy, how long should I fuck with y'all? Keep you in suspense. How long should I keep playing with y'all? I just watched the VRE3. That's what I watched. Hold on here. Let me get on my reading specs. Guy Code, what is up? Lincoln Clay sounds like he enjoys State of Play. You know the crazy part about it, Guy Code, is that I missed the biggest announcement on there. You know how I ended up finding out? I mean, so just to get it out there, J-Dog, what's up? Pretty good show. Sony had a little disappointed. Didn't really expect 3 bangers anyway. Great for VR. Hey, it was, truth be told, all I expected out of the VR portion of it was Blood and Truth. I mean, we know that Dreams is coming, but it is primarily a flat screen game. But, you know, I know it has a VR mode. I didn't really, I thought maybe we might get a date for that. Emyrus, what is up? Impatient Fire, what is up? No Man's Sky VR has you super hyped. Now, hey, now what about this part? Now, I still have a question mark there, Impatient Fire, and that is whether or not it's going to have a multiplayer. If that game has a multiplayer, Sony just cleaned off the shelf of all the VRs they got left. Impatient Fire. How long have I been saying this? Imagine whatever your favorite game is, and to be able to play that game in VR, to be in the game. Whatever your favorite game is, role playing, first person shooter, racing. Whatever your favorite game is, in my opinion, it just can't get any better than to be able to play that game in VR. Andre 6K, it was a big disappointment for me. I'm just not in the VR. I understand. I know, I've seen some people saying trash and whatnot and all that kind of stuff. And I know all that stuff was coming from people that's not in the VR. Already knew that those who are not into VR was going to come away disappointed. So what you're gonna do, Andre 6K, when next generation? Well, nah, that you ain't gonna get left out. I started to say, what are you going to do next generation when the next Spider-Man game has a VR mode? But you won't be left out. After seeing that Iron Man shit, to me that almost solidifies that the next Spider-Man game will have some sort of VR mode. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised that they did not announce that another Spider-Man VR game is coming this summer to, in conjunction with the newest Spider-Man game, this newest Spider-Man movie that's supposed to be coming out this summer. So I was a little bit surprised that they didn't announce the Spider-Man game. Sirius is great. What's up, Lincoln Clay? How about that No Man's Sky VR support? Wonder if it's full or limited support. I would think it's going to be full support. The big question is whether it's going to be multiplayer or not. Red Alert, what is up? You think the show was good? Hey, Red Alert, if you like VR, you came to the right channel, because I'm heavy into VR. PLO, No Man's Sky, VR, baby. Look at all those positive stuff. I'm not even into No Man's Sky. I'm not even into No Man's Sky like that, but if that shit is multiplayer, oh my goodness. What's up, Sick? What is good, man? To me, they gave me like 2-3 huge announcements. You know what's crazy? No Man's Sky VR is fully supported and multiplayer confirmed. PLO, that is what I'm talking about. Now, that is a must. That is a day one pickup for me. Anyone who's been watching my game streams over the past weekend, I have been saying that the PlayStation VR format is lacking AAA games in VR multiplayer. Right there. Oh my goodness, I just hit my my microphone right there. They must have been listening to me. Sony's ears must have been burning. I think No Man's Sky in VR is going to be huge. It's going to be huge. No, hold on. Now let's back up for a second. Devastator, what's up? What's going on? Emyrus, can you join me on here? Sure, just a minute. Give me a second here. We are not at Wakanda. We are at an undisclosed location. Oh my goodness, Emyrus, what's your Twitter again, so I can send it to you direct? Because if I send that shit publicly, we're gonna fuck around and have a situation like we did in JTech's podcast. Gamer Lives Matter. What is up? Let me know. The show lets me know PS5 is gearing up for the future of VR next generation. I'll be hyped for the VR train. Can't do it this generation. I'll get nauseated. Wish I could do it though. Hey, I mean, to get through this generation, as far as motion sickness, as I said before, on many of occasions, you can drink ginger ale to alleviate the motion sickness. But I think next generation, they're definitely gonna have that down, because it seems to Emyrus17. Okay, hang on, Emyrus. It seems that the general consensus is motion sickness is attributed to frame rate. That I guess is like if shit is below like 60 frames per eye, then people get sick. So hold on. Okay, just a second, Emyrus. I'm getting ready to oh shit. Okay, message. Okay, hang on a second. I'm getting ready to send you the link. And here comes the link now. All right, we'll see you in a second when you get here. Okay. Guy Code, I'm worried about Days Gone. If they are doing this much promotion for it, I guess a lot of people are interested and into it. I hope I'm wrong. I think after the pieces that I've seen, I think it's going to be a great game. I think Days Gone is going to be a great game. Looks like Sony is gearing up for a huge 2019. Now, back to this No Man's Sky thing. What I did want to say about that is, remember when No Man's Sky was only on the PlayStation format, how the Xbox cats was talking shit about it and whoop-de-whoop and all this kind of stuff? And then they got No Man's Sky, and suddenly it was the greatest game that was ever created. And then when the rumors was going around about the game possibly coming to VR, and then I guess those rumors was kind of dispelled that no, it's not supposed to be coming to PlayStation VR. Then the Xbox was kind of laughing in the PlayStation's people's faces. You know, they was laughing at the ponies right in their faces. But now that this has been announced that it's going to No Man's Sky is going to get VR support, I wonder what they thinking now over on the Xbox side. You said they just cut Firefox support for Google Hangouts within the last 2 or 3 days. I mean, with you know, with this Stadia shit getting ready to come out and a lot of it being tied to, you know, some other Google services, I'm wondering how much Google shit is going to get cut off from the general public, and you might have to subscribe to Stadia in order to get that shit back. You said Xbox is salty, Christopher Hart. I believe it. And PLO, you said I had wars over the No Man's Sky VR possibility coming. I mean, you know, when it seemed that those rumors was dispelled, and no, it's not coming, whoop-de-whoop, and all that kind of shit. You know, yeah, they was laughing big time. Saris is great. All they need to do is and get PS4's Elite Dangerous VR support. And what the hell? Maybe they'll port over Steam's House of the Dying Sun with VR support. I do have Elite Dangerous, and I have not played the game, but I did play the VR part of it. And from what I saw, I don't see any reason why it couldn't come to PlayStation VR. Not only that, I think the game might be it might be compatible with the flight stick as well. So yeah, I've got VR. You got to lead. Hey, Impatient Fire, do you have Oculus or Vive? And if you say Elite Dangerous VR is amazing, I would have to assume that you've got VR. You know, I assume you got Oculus or Vive. PLO, I really hope we get Elite Dangerous for PSVR. The way I'm thinking right now, maybe I'm feeling like maybe the only way it won't come to the PlayStation VR is if the hardware can't handle it. You said you think No Man's Sky VR will likely have HOTAS support, which would be cool because I do have that stick. I do have the HOTAS stick. Spartan God, what is up? Yeah, and I see you keep coming into my Oculus streams calling me a traitor and fucking with me and shit like that. I mean, my VR experience is covered now between the PlayStation VR and Oculus. My VR experience is covered. Said I use my PSVR on my PC with Trinus VR. No shit. Yeah, flying from planet to planet in VR, that would be so cool. And no, Spartan God, I did not betray PSVR. My heart is still there. Trendus VR is a cool app that lets you use your PSVR to play PC games on Steam. Oh, that's pretty cool. I mean, hindsight is 2020. I'm feeling like if I would have known that, maybe I wouldn't have bought the Oculus. But at the same time, I probably wouldn't have got a chance to. I probably would not have been able to play Lone Echo, which is an amazing game. Ice Queen Gaming. What about that horror game in VR? Five Nights at Freddy's? Yes. I mean, I took down my notes and I plan on going from the top to the bottom. And I think Emyrus is in here. Are you not?
Yeah, I am. Let me know how I sound.
You sound good. How's it been, man? I ain't talked to you in a while.
It's been pretty good. Just been doing my thing.
That's what's up. You know, the last time when we talked a while ago, we talked about the VR aspect of Dreams. You know, and then I was hoping that maybe you had plans to pick that game up and maybe, you know, use those those tools, you know, to help you get your feet wet.
Yeah, that is something I'm definitely looking forward into doing. I am going to pick it up as soon as it launches. I've actually tried to pre-order it, and apparently pre-orders are not even open yet.
Excellent, excellent. You know, I want to throw something at people real quick before we move on any further. I am closing in on 500 subs. I can't thank everybody enough, and I just want to say that that once I hit 500 subs, I do plan a giveaway. What I am going to say is that, you know, if you want to participate in this giveaway, you must have a PayPal account. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So that makes what I plan to do pretty obvious. So you must have a PayPal account. That way, it makes it fair, you know, for the European subs. Because I feel bad every time I get a giveaway and they get left out. So with that being said, in the interest of our European friends, Australian, Asian, everybody, in the interest of everybody being included, you must have a PayPal. So with that being said, before we Emyrus, before we get into these topics real quick, I want to tell the story real quick about how I found out about the Iron Man part. I came into the state of play late. When I got in there, I had just missed the Iron Man announcement, but I caught it from there, and they were announcing the No Man's Sky announcement. And so I'm sitting here taking my notes, and I'm getting set to go live. And Young posted a video, and he said something about Iron Man. I'm like, oh, an Iron Man game's coming. So I said, let me watch this video real quick. And it was a reaction video. He was like, he saw that Iron Man. He was like, yes. And he was like, no, please don't let this game be in VR. When they said Iron Man VR, I did a fucking backflip. I was like, hell yeah. And he was like, he damn near did the face palm. He was heartbroken. So I am elated about that. How do you feel about the Iron Man announcement, starting with the biggest one?
Well, me personally, I got excited immediately. I didn't even know about it because I did the same thing you did. I hopped in on Ryan and Fox doing their show, our stream of it, and I actually came in about the same exact time you did. When I found out about the Iron Man thing, I was extremely excited, especially the fact that it's in VR.
You know, that along with the No Man's Sky announcement in VR, what do you think that's going to do for as far as moving some of these PlayStation VR units off the shelf?
I can see the Iron Man one doing a whole lot more for VR because of the IP itself. No Man's Sky might budge a few, but I don't see that one doing too much because it's already in an established community. There'll be people like myself who will try out the No Man's Sky in the VR, but as far as the Iron Man, I think that's the one that will really tip them in a positive way more so than they've already been.
Without a doubt. I think that's only half the battle, you know, with the Iron Man announcement and the No Man's Sky announcement. That's half the battle. Now you got to do the other half to get people to pull out their wallets, and that is put the VR on sale again. You know, do another one of those sales where, you know, where you got the $250 bundles. You do that. Hell, you even do that and bundle those games with the VR.
I was just about to say, if they were to bundle the Iron Man VR on a special $250, you know, yeah, that will probably sell like hotcakes.
Mm-hmm. One second. Okay. Anyway, just a minute, all right? I'm not in the mood for this shit. All right. Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that. I'm keeping my mic muted so as to not cause a feedback loop.
Okay. I had to take care of that guy code. That was not Carlos. That's why I was saying, hold on a second, because I went to check the profile to see if it was him or not. And it wasn't. And so I'm not in the mood for this shit. I'm not in the mood for playing with trolls. They didn't say anything. I got an idea of who I think it might be, but I'm just not in the mood for it, so I got them out of here. They didn't say anything wrong, but I'm just not in the mood. That troll that was posing as Carlos said some shit that pissed me off on Saturday, and I told him to watch it because he was on his way towards getting banned. And when he said I'm sorry, I was like right there. I said I think I know who this troll is. I'm just not in the mood.
I don't get you. It's been a fun day for us PSVR fans. That kind of a mood can be ruined real quick with trolls.
Mm-hmm. And so I don't think I'm going to be able to get into this subject and have a discussion with you about this with that shit, coming in the comment section, because you know what kind of YouTuber I am. I try to interact with everybody. Ice Queen Gaming, I do have mods on my channel. And the current mods that I have, I'm good with those mods because I trust them. What I don't want to do is make someone a mod who has beef with someone else on, from another area, because I don't want somebody getting banned on my channel from some shit that happened over on another podcast. So at the moment I'm good with the moderators that I have, and I think my channel's not so big that I can't handle the trolls myself. So let's go over this stuff, Emyrus.
Start wherever you want.
Okay. And I guess it's been confirmed that No Man's Sky is going to have a multiplayer mode. Somebody in the chat said that it's confirmed to have a multiplayer mode in VR. And myself, that's one of the things that I said a couple of days ago that is sorely lacking on the PSVR platform, is the lack of VR multiplayer games, as well as the lack of AAA experiences. While I don't consider No Man's Sky a AAA game, even though it was hyped up as one, that is still huge to bring that to the VR format, as well as a multiplayer aspect of it. Yeah, go ahead, chime in.
Sorry about that. As far as the multiplayer thing on that goes, they added that with the last big update, and they mentioned when they first talked about, but this is not the first time they mentioned Beyond. Beyond was mentioned here a couple weeks ago, I think it was, and they mentioned something new about VR. Not VR, the multiplayer aspect of it. It is something new entirely compared to what they had before, but I'm trying to remember. They said something. What was it now? They said it's not to be considered an MMO, but it's supposed to have a new way to look at multiplayer. But I don't know what the full aspect of what they're talking about. I actually didn't know that VR was going to be a part of Beyond. That was a complete surprise for me.
I'm not terribly surprised that No Man's Sky came to VR, especially being that there was rumors about it, a while ago. But I thought it was going to be VR on, on the PC, on Steam or something like that.
I'm sure that they will announce it for the PC at some point for the Vive or the Oculus, probably both. I can't feature them not doing that, but it will definitely probably get the most exposure on the PSVR.
Okay, so let's say a year from now, No Man's Sky comes to Oculus and Vive. You think they would make it crossplay or cross-platform?
If it's currently play as it is now, like if you can play with PC guys now with it, probably. If it is not done that way, it's more up to what Hello Games and Sony want to do then.
I think it's a strong possibility, being that a game that I played yesterday, the Space Junkies open beta is cross play along with PSVR, Vive, and Oculus, and for the most part, the game plays the same on the PlayStation VR as it does on the Oculus. So I didn't notice any kind of distinct advantages in terms of performance. The big thing was
resolution.
No, not resolution. The controls.
Oh, okay.
1 second. Anyway, I got my eye on something. I'm ready to pull the trigger if I hear something I don't like. Anyway, so moving on to some other things with this state of play. Blood and Truth. Wow, that looked amazing.
From what I could see of it, it definitely did. I haven't played. There was a predecessor to that game, wasn't there? What was it called again? London Heist?
Yeah.
I haven't played that one yet, but after seeing that one, I kind of want to go back and actually check that game out now.
You could tell with London Heist, that game was basically a tech demo to show people with, what VR is capable of. And the way the game ended, it definitely left you wanting a sequel to the story. And it appears that we're going to get it, with London Heist. Craig Harris, what is up? How are you, my man? And so I'm really excited about that. And the game looks like it's action-packed with explosions and a bunch of other stuff. I really can't wait for this game, and we've got a confirmed date for it, which I think it was already rumored to be coming out May 29th. And we got a confirmed date of May 28th, which, as far as I'm concerned, is just around the corner. As far as I'm concerned, that's tomorrow, because I have enough stuff to keep me busy between the PSVR and Oculus.
Yeah, well, it kind of is tomorrow, isn't it? I mean, we're at the end of March now, but I don't really have too much to say about the thing. I just know that I'm looking forward to actually trying it out. I'm going to have to sit down maybe tonight and actually try out the London Heist. That way maybe I can get pumped for, Blood and Truth. Oh, so you do have a PlayStation VR then? Oh, yeah, I've had VR for a long time. I've had VR since day one, launch day.
Mm-hmm.
I just never got...
Oh, okay. That's cool then. Shoot, I don't know. And you don't have Firewall, do you?
No, I do not have Firewall. That was one that I haven't been able to afford it.
Okay. Whenever you do get it, it would defeat the purpose to get it if you don't have the aim controller.
I've got the aim because I got that with what was the game again? The one that it launched with.
Okay. Yeah, the game was on sale not too long ago for like $20.
VR store or the physical version?
At the VR store, the PlayStation store.
Oh, okay.
A couple of months ago.
I do all my games on physical. Farpoint, yeah, that was it. I've got Farpoint.
I mean, at the end of the day, I would still prefer to have my games physical, but Sony has so many of those flash sales that a lot of those games are you just can't pass them up. So that's ended up, my library is probably 70% digital. And a lot of it was because there was a game that I wanted to play so bad that I wanted the game to unlock at midnight and didn't want to wait until the next morning to go get it from the store, or it was something that I got from the flash sale. And that's how I ended up buying a ton of VR games that I know I'm not going to play.
Just because of the PlayStation Store, like I said, with me doing the physical ones, I buy everything that I want. And seeing that showing today, I commented in Big Cloud's channel that my wallet is now crying because I've seen all of those games, especially the VR ones that are coming out.
Okay.
It's definitely a good time to be a VR gamer after seeing all that. Yeah, it'll be enjoyable to see what they bring us here soon. I mean, in a couple months we've got at least one.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
And within a couple months we've got at least one VR release. Isn't it at least one we got by the end of May or so?
Yeah, I think that was the Blood and Truth. I mean, because that was the only anticipated VR game that was coming out this year that I knew about. So that Iron Man reveal just blew me away, you know. And then when there was rumors before about No Man's Sky possibly coming to VR and it never materialized, that was the end of it. It never entered my mind that game, you know. I never tried to read between any lines or say it's somebody's line or anything like that. I took it at face value.
Well, the No Man's Sky VR was rumored even before the game launched. When it launched without the VR mode, I thought we were supposed to get VR mode with this, but it just never happened. And it's like, okay, well, maybe they just changed their mind. And then I forget now when it was, but I started hearing talk of the VR mode coming to No Man's Sky again, but it was again within rumors. And then today we finally get a confirmation of it. And I was not a big fan of the No Man's Sky Next, I think is what they called it, when they did that big update, because it changed so much of the game that I was used to. I wasn't a real fan of it. But with that VR announcement, I'm going to definitely have to try to get back into it again.
No doubt. So moving on to another one that they revealed, the Five Nights at Freddy's. Where are you sitting on that?
Well, I've never played any of the prior Five Nights at Freddy games before, but it looked creepy and fun enough that it might be enjoyable just to check it out in VR for the first time.
I have to be honest. I'm not entirely sure that I'm going to mess around with that game because I don't do good with jump scares. I mean, horror games, depending on whether I can deal with it or not, depends on what kind of horror game it is. Like Until Dawn, Rush of Blood. That one was, I could deal with that one because everything that came at me, I had guns in my hands, so I could shoot anything that came at me. But the jump scares, I don't know if I could deal with that. I don't want to shit in the middle of my living room floor.
I'm kind of in the same boat with some of that stuff. I do have Rush of Blood. My problem is, like, I almost said Final Fantasy. Silent Hill was one of my favorite game series. I actually have the first 4 of those. But my biggest issue playing those games, even though I love the storylines and the atmosphere and everything, is physically I would tense up and start kind of, I don't know, quivering is really the right word for it, but it made playing the games really unenjoyable. But as far as the Five Nights one, it almost looked more silly than scary. I don't know. I've never played the games before. Maybe I should like look some YouTube videos up and kind of get an idea of what they are. And if it looks like it could be good for, a quick laugh or whatever with the scare kind of on top of it, it might be worth getting.
To me, it looked like, some of that shit in there, almost like when I looked at it, I was like, man, it feels like it could be something right out of that It movie.
I could see where you get that idea from. It almost feels
you
like
remember that movie, It, with that clown that was killing the kids and shit?
Right. Yeah, I never watched those movies, but I know the ones you were talking about.
I seen the movie. As far as flat screen, nothing scares me. But something like this Five Nights at Freddy's, something coming directly at me and I can see it coming isn't going to scare me. But if it's pitch black and something jumps in front of me with a jump scare, I'm not going to lie, it's probably going to scare the shit out of me, because even that Resident Evil has some jump scares about it. I mean, when the PSVR first came out and they had the PSVR demo disc, they had a section on there for Resident Evil where the guy is sitting, he was handcuffed in a chair, and the assistant that was with him got his head chopped off, and the head went rolling across the floor, and the girl that, you know, cut his head off jumped right in his face with the knife. So that was quite the experience. That was one of my first horror experiences on the PlayStation VR. I was like, I don't know if I could deal with this kind of shit. And then walking around that house, there was flies everywhere, carcasses, a microwave oven with a dead crow in it. All that kind of stuff was just creepy.
I actually wonder what the reaction would have been if PT had survived past when they cut it off to actually maybe ended up on VR, to see how people would have played PT in VR if they had done something like that. Yeah, the first person aspect of it enough drove people crazy, but can you imagine what that effect would have had on people if it was in VR?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, well, you know what PT is, don't you?
What's that?
You know what PT is, right?
You said PT?
Yes.
Are you speaking of post-traumatic?
No, it was a demo, a player teaser that came out in 2014, 2015.
Oh, you mean the game PT?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I remember hearing about that.
I actually played it. It was definitely a terrorizing experience. The reception of it was actually very positive. And I think mostly because of the fear factor, which Impatient Fire just said that PT VR would have traumatized people.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too. And I also saw that, you know, Geico said Outlast will be a great game for VR. He can just imagine heart attacks. You know, and if I remember about the Outlast games, you're in there with nothing. You have no weapons. You have nothing whatsoever. And that's one of the things that makes those horror games like absolutely scary in VR, is when you have nothing to defend yourself. Yeah, look, and they showed Five Nights at Freddy's is going to be in VR.
And the thing, I think it's a brand new game too. I don't believe it's a VR mode of a previous game. I think it's a brand new VR title.
Yeah, no. You said Sarah's is great. Said he still has PT installed on his hard drive, but you know, I just, you know, even without the VR aspect of it, I'm not too much into horror games, but I think VR makes these horror games a little too real and a little too scary.
You might have a point. I'm just curious to just how well the second generation PSVR could take a lot of these games with the inclusion of the horror, you know, VR games, just how bad they could get for people that have issues with playing scary stuff. I mean, the realism would probably be turned up an extra notch just because of the increased resolution.
That's what I was just about to say, that with the next iteration of the PlayStation VR being rumored to be 1440p, and I would like to think that this next iteration of the PlayStation VR is going to have a wider field of view. Currently, like with Oculus and the current PSVR, is like looking through binoculars. Even if you're still in the game, it's still like looking through binoculars. But yeah, absolutely. Next generation VR with that 1440p resolution, anything that's coming at you is going to be highly detailed. Can you imagine some kind of monster like right out of the movie Alien, that jaws coming right at you and that slime's dripping right out of that mouth, only like inches away from your nose or something?
That would be pretty wild. I mean, I'm hoping they don't add something to the new VR headsets. It's like a, you know, smell-o-vision or something like that to smell out of there right in your face. That would just be repulsive, but it would definitely add to the fear factor.
Let me respond to Guy Cole real quick, because he asked the one question that I knew would be asked of me sooner or later. He said, "So Lincoln, are you done playing video games in strictly VR?" Yeah, I'm damn close to it, because I probably say about 90% of the games that's on my PC right now are VR games, and I'd probably say, you know, about 80% of the games, 80% of the games that I bought over the past year on my PlayStation have been VR games. And I've said this before, when it comes to video games, whatever your favorite game is, when the next iteration of that game comes out, a lot of people want more realism. They want more interaction. They want more immersion. And VR gives you all of that. It gives you interaction, immersion, and it's about as real as it can get without actually being there. A fighter jet, the battlefield, a race car. This is all stuff that we probably all in our lives wondered what it was like to be able to do something like that. And VR does that for you, without putting you in those life-threatening situations. So yeah, for the most part, Guy Codis, especially next generation, if Sony gives us bigger and better experiences, they give us more games like that Iron Man game, and shit, they give us a Thor game where that in VR where that hammer's pulling you everywhere or something I'm like, I can probably say that like 95% of my games next generation on the PlayStation VR are probably going to be VR games. So sorry about that little extended answer, Emyrus. So let's talk about Concrete Genie. What do you think about that?
I'm excited for it. I was excited for it before the trailer today, and I'm even more excited now because they did say that it was going to have a VR mode.
When they were showing the trailer for that game, I was still so hyped about No Man's Sky being announced for VR, and I had no idea about the Iron Man part of it yet. But when I saw the Concrete Genie, I started not to watch it because I was like, I don't give a shit about this. And then when they showed that it was VR, I was like, oh, okay. They got my attention.
I've been interested in the Concrete Genie since the initial announcement, which I think was E3, I want to say 2 years ago. It seems like last year we didn't hear much of anything about it. But now that they're adding the VR mode on top of it, it's like you're getting twice as much for your money.
No doubt about that. And I've said that before, that I think next generation, I think the PlayStation VR, I think that Sony is looking at the PlayStation VR as its ace in the hole next generation. They're still going to deliver the compelling exclusives, and then they're going to add to that with I believe compelling AAA level VR games, VR exclusives too. And I also think that I think some third-party developers are going to get on board with the PlayStation VR next generation. I'm almost willing to bet my whole damn paycheck that Bethesda's going to get on board with VR next generation if they're not closed by then. Because you got games like Skyrim, Fallout 4 is in VR over on the Steam store, and you got Doom in VR, which tells me that without a doubt, I'm pretty sure they probably got plans to bring Fallout 76 to VR probably at a later date, and I think, next generation, when they get, a big boost in the hardware, I could see them possibly building a game from the ground up for VR. Well, what's your thoughts on that?
I could see that happening as well. Ground up, probably, since they seem to have kind of jumped in. I don't know if you call it feet first or head first into VR this time around, like with the 3 titles you mentioned. Although I have been looking forward to Fallout 4 on VR, and they've not released it for the PSVR yet for some silly reason. Doom I'm kind of skipping on, but next generation, unless for whatever reason they're being held back, for what reason we don't know, licensing reasons or whatever, I could definitely see them at least launching one of their titles next generation to VR. Because they have a science fiction game coming out, Starfield, I believe it's called. I could really see that one hitting VR. As to whether or not Elder Scrolls 6 does, I do not know.
I think there's no doubt. I don't think it would hit day one because it's obvious. Bethesda is starting to double dip. They're hitting them twice. they're coming out with, like in the case of Fallout 4, you had the Fallout 4 game. They milked that for as much as they could, and then they came back and hit them with, Fallout 4 VR. And that's selling for $60. Same thing with Skyrim. It's a last gen game, but they charging the VR people $60. Doom is Wanye Tudor, what's up? Doom, I think goes for, give or take, I think that goes for about $30, but it's been on sale a couple of times for $17, what have you. So with that being said, I'm leaning towards believing that Bethesda is going to go ahead and run Fallout 76. They're going to run that into the ground. And when that game is no longer selling like it, when it's not selling and sales fall off the cliff with that game, that's when they're going to come back with Fallout 76 VR.
You might have a point with that one. I wouldn't be surprised, but the question is are they going to fix the problems with the game first before they would release it in VR? Because if they leave it the way in the state it's in, at least the last state I knew of, if they were to leave it in that state, who's going to buy it?
That is a really good question, because I think as far as PC goes, if they were to release that game in VR on PC, I don't know if there's anybody there to regulate them. I don't know if Steam would regulate them. But I know that I believe that Sony would. I believe that Sony would tell them, make sure that shit runs right before you put it on our platform.
Right, which I had a theory on why the game was released the way it was, because you know how they have this really close relationship with Microsoft? Well, the game released, the Fallout 76, the state it was in, reminded me of a, what do you call it now? Games as a service release that you would typically see on Game Pass. Like, release it broken, we'll fix it later.
Yeah.
And I said that.
You think that Microsoft might influence that?
I think so. I think that it's kind of one of them, hey, look, this is what we're doing. It kind of works. Go ahead and do that. You might get a lot of hate, but then as you fix it, you'll get more love. Yeah, I think that's kind of what happened. I actually brought that up in a Twitter thread, and somebody argued with me that it sounded like they were trying to defend Game Pass and Microsoft for the trash of Fallout 76, but it felt too much like a combination of the lack of content from Sea of Thieves and the broken, buggy mess of State of Decay 2 kind of mashed into one. And both of those games were, with time, fixed as a games as a service title, with both of them being launched on, Game Pass.
I agree with you 100% that Microsoft could have influenced Bethesda into releasing a broken game, because that is Microsoft's middle name is broken. Everything they release is broken. The Windows 10, all the fucking games. I think, I think maybe Gears of War might be the only game that they released that's not broken, or has a glaring issue that, that needs a patch or something like that. But everything else is just broken. But yeah, Sony might tell them they're going to have to fix that shit before they bring it to the PlayStation VR format. And they'll probably want to get it fixed before they bring it to the PlayStation format, because it probably stands to gain the most revenue there, being that they are the market leader in VR now.
Right. You have a good point there. I mean, Sony seems to make sure that their first-party studios release games that aren't in a buggy, broken mess. The ones that have in the past, the few that have, usually get fixed pretty quick. I can't think of a single title off the top of my head right now that was really just that bad. Whereas Microsoft seems to churn them out on, I don't know, a mill of some sort, just a consistent, flow.
Yeah, without a doubt. So in closing, because it's already 8 o'clock, and I've got a couple of things I need to do before I get to streaming. I plan on streaming some games tonight. I think I'm gonna stream some more of Lone Echo. That game looks absolutely amazing. Lone Echo and the Lone Echo 2 trailer are by far the best looking games I've ever seen in VR.
Lone Echo, I don't think I've heard of them yet.
It is an Oculus exclusive.
There was one thing that I wanted to point out before we close, if it's okay with you.
Sure.
Did you notice at the end, because I only heard this, I didn't get to really watch the video. I was actually driving home when I was listening to the Iron Man trailer. But I swear that I heard that it was coming courtesy of, and they gave a developer, I don't recognize the name, but I'm positive it said Sony Worldwide Studios, the developer, and Marvel. Do you think that it's going to be a PlayStation VR exclusive?
The Iron Man?
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends on how big the game is.
I see where you're coming from there, but I swear that's what I heard at the end of that trailer. The end of the Iron Man trailer, I swear they said Sony Worldwide Studios.
Oh, if it's Sony Worldwide Studios, then yeah. I mean, then yeah, I'd like to believe that it's going to be a PlayStation exclusive. The big question is you know, I think it's safer to say that the Iron Man game was going to be a PlayStation exclusive. I think that's more believable than the No Man's Sky, because I do have a funny feeling that the No Man's Sky is probably going to be a timed exclusive that will probably eventually make its way to PC.
Well, No Man's Sky's been out for a very long time on PC, as you know, but the VR versions, I'm sure that we'll probably see that as a timed exclusive, given that they announced it today. No? I don't know, because the No Man's Sky Beyond, I'm sure is going to be a free update simultaneously between all platforms. They might release the VR version of it at the same time on PC as they do with PlayStation.
Now, with that being said, that puts me in a position where I'm going to have to wait this thing out on No Man's Sky to see if it's going to release on Oculus and Vive on the same day. And if it does, I also need to look into whether all three of them are going to be crossplay and multiplayer. You know, and as somebody said, that the multiplayer for the PlayStation VR is confirmed. So if that's the case and it makes its way to Oculus and Vive, then no doubt those will be multiplayer as well.
Most likely. I can definitely see that. I do have No Man's Sky on Steam, but I'm not a huge fan of how it played. I don't know what it was. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel natural to me. Whereas with the PlayStation, it feels normal, minus, like I said, Next just did not feel right. Something about the update changed something in the game, and it didn't feel right to me, so I couldn't really play it anymore. But like I said, I'm definitely going to try to jump into it again with the VR update adding on to it. But you'll know I'll be on the PSVR version of it without a doubt. I don't plan on trying the Steam version of No Man's Sky. Again, that is.
Yeah, definitely. Damn, I lost my train of thought for a second. Sorry about that. I'm talking to a friend of mine that I used to work with. He's going to build me a computer here later on this year.
Awesome. I need a new one myself, so I'm going to have to start looking into getting my own components with, I want to try to, getting into AMD stuff, because there are games I like to play on PC, but it's the games that you will only ever find on PC, generally like MMOs. I had disappeared for a while because I was playing Dungeons and Dragons online pretty much nonstop all day, minus the fact I was working 2 jobs. Not doing that no more, but still playing a lot of DDO. But I like having my games. If you can max out the ability to play them, fine. Which, for me, resolution and frame rate is just cherries on top. That's not the big deal for me. But if I can make my games look the way I want them to, I'm all for it. So I will, increase my specs as much as I can. But I need a new one because I think my GPU is going out in this older one.
Saris is Great is saying they said it's Steam VR and PS4 launched together at the same time.
As far as the No Man's Sky VR?
The what?
No, you mean the No Man's Sky VR?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm surprised. With Sony showing it today, I would have assumed that it would have been a timed exclusive for the PSVR, but I'm not surprised that it would launch simultaneously.
But I do think that's the one game that if it would have launched exclusively on the PlayStation VR format, I think that's the one game that would have sent the PC community into an eruption. So I think they would have got like super pissed if that would have happened.
You're probably right, because they seem to get really jealous of anything that is on console and not PC. They even beg for PlayStation, like Sony first-party games. They beg for that on PC all the time,
because they know if the shit looks that amazing on the PlayStation Pro, they probably thinking of how much better it could look on a PC. You know, for these $2,000 rigs to $2,500 PCs that they built.
You're probably right as far as that goes, but to me, it's like I said, just I don't know if you call it a minute or two ago, but with resolution and frame rate, it's just cherries on top. I mean, if the game has got a great story, great environment, great characters, that's what's important. Gameplay, that's all what's important. Everything else is just to kind of improve the experience, but it shouldn't be the main focus of your experience. And if the only reason they want to play these games is just so they can see what they can do with them on PC, I don't know. Just something about that rubs me the wrong way. I mean, you should want to play it because it looks like a great game, not what you can do with it on PC.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for everything they showed today. I kept seeing people saying trash, 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 and all the, thank the Sony on their PlayStation link for State of Play today had like 10,000 dislikes on YouTube, which just it seemed way unwarranted. Might be the right word for it. I'm excited.
That could have been Xbox people coming in trying to sabotage it.
Could be, but I've seen a lot of quote unquote PlayStation guys that weren't too happy either. And I think most of that is because of the VR announcements. For whatever reason, a lot of people do not like VR. They want it to die. But I see VR as a future of gaming. I mean, we're only going to have flat screen gaming for so long before VR is all there is. And that wouldn't break my heart at all. VR is all there was. I mean, some games just don't seem to translate well. I mean, like, it would be weird trying to play God of War or even Bloodborne, even though I love Bloodborne like crazy. I could see those games not doing too well in VR. But No Man's Sky, obviously now, the thing like with Iron Man, I could see those games in VR.
That that Iron Man game.
I'm going to go watch the trailer again here. When we're done here, I'm going to go watch the trailer again because I want to watch everything I can about it. But I swear I seen at the end that it was PlayStation or Sony Worldwide Studios, on the thing. I'll have to look at that again because I'm actually wondering with that, if that is true, if maybe a part of the whole Spider-Man being in the Marvel, they call it the MCU, I believe. I wonder if maybe that was a part of their agreement, was like Marvel games might be coming somewhat exclusively to PlayStation within maybe a certain, what do you call it now? With certain limitations in mind, like with Spider-Man. I figure the Spider-Man exclusivity on PlayStation had a lot to do with the deal that was made for them to have Spider-Man in the MCU.
Yeah.
And the Iron Man game could be another indication of it. I know that Square Enix is currently working on an Avengers game, but that Avengers game, to my knowledge, was announced even before. I mean, not before the Spider-Man game, I don't think, but it was announced, a couple years ago. And that may have been just one of those things outside that deal. But future Marvel games might be like what they might be trying to do. Even though Sony has their own movie studios and they're still making their own movies, like with the Venom movie, you might see more and more Marvel games that are just PlayStation, made by PlayStation Studios, Sony Studios, but you're going to see more and more Sony Marvel characters within the MCU. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Venom within the MCU at some point. It wouldn't shock me a bit.
Yeah. Something else dawned on me, right? You know how I said that that the Xbox people are probably pretty pissed that No Man's Sky is getting VR support. So that's one more aspect of that game that they don't get because Microsoft didn't get involved in VR, VR as we know it. I also find it rather funny that when Spider-Man came out and all the Xbox were screaming about how that game was anti-consumer and how salty they were that that game wasn't on the Xbox platform. And then they started making cries for somebody to make an Iron Man game and make it exclusive to the Xbox platform. And what did we just get? We get an Iron Man game in VR. That's like damn near a slap in the face to the Xbox people, don't you think?
That when you say that way, I never even thought about that. That is definitely very comical. What I'd love to see, and I know this would never happen, but I would honestly love to see is the HDR pass-through version of the PSVR that launches with an Iron Man skin done over the face mask for the VR.
Oh shit!
Like your lenses would be the lenses of his eyes.
That is a great idea because they do these limited edition consoles. The Spider-Man console, the God of War console, or something like that. So why not do something like that with a PSVR bundle? Why not do an Iron Man bundle for the PlayStation VR and have the headset decorated like Iron Man's helmet?
That would be awesome. I know I would buy it. I would go out of my way to buy that one.
I bet you there would be people who aren't even on board with VR, but they would go and get that as a collector's item.
Well, remember what Craig was saying was that people would go out and get the Spider-Man PlayStation 4 Pro just for the collector's edition purposes. He said that they would not put it up on the they would put it on the mantle, maybe never even open it, but because it's Spider-Man memorabilia, they actually went out and collected it. People who weren't gamers, and I could see the same kind of reaction if they were to do something like that. I mean, I definitely can see a bundle with the Iron Man game. I could definitely see a bundle. But if they were to do a special edition one, I think it would probably sell as faster. I'd say as fast as probably the VR. I mean, not VR, the PS4 Pro for Spider-Man did.
Yeah, but without a doubt, a collector's edition, something like that for the PlayStation VR would definitely sell a few more of those too. So shit, maybe somebody ought to contact Sony and suggest that shit to them.
That would, if they were to do something like that, especially if I was about to say if they would do this one thing I was thinking of, but honestly, they'd have to maybe redesign the headset a bit, and they wouldn't want to go through that trouble. But it's got that one blue light right there on the center of the visor. But if they were to take that and widen it out, like put it into two lights on the front of the visor, of course, it would change the whole dynamic. But then actually use that as his eyes that lights up, that would be cool. But that would change the way that the VR headset itself would work. But even if they were to, I still think it would look awesome just being decorated. But if they could ever...
to me, they wouldn't even have to do anything about that blue light in the middle. They just... just throw an Iron Man sticker on it and call it a day, and that'll sell.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It would have to be a sticker so much. I mean, I'm looking at mine right now on the front of it. A sticker would seem to undersell it a bit. I could see a sticker, but just, I mean, even a sticker, but yeah, I'd say that if they did it just right, they could make the VR headset look just like the Iron Man helmet. And I think that would just be really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the VR with the pass-through. I'd love to have that one with HDR pass-through because it does make things a little tough with, my TV and everything. I just kind of dealt with it, but I would love to have one. And if they were to do something like that with the Iron Man bundle, I would probably go ahead and drop the cash on buying the one with the HDR pass-through. As long as that was the one that they released with it, I would probably do that.
Yeah, it would definitely. H player, what's up? It would definitely be that one because Joystick Guru, what is up, boy? What you think about that Iron Man, that No Man's Sky? Yeah, as far as what you were talking about, as far as if it had to be the HDR pass through, yeah, it would definitely be that one because the original one's been discontinued. God knows how long ago.
Oh, has it? Okay, good. Because I was actually thinking about that earlier today, that I'd like to get one with
the HDR pass through headset is the standard now.
Good, because I didn't know they had discontinued the other one. I thought there was probably some bundles out there, and I was like, well, I hope I don't accidentally get the wrong bundle and get the the original one again, because I want the HDR pass through. But if they were to do that with the Iron, even if they just outright bundled the Iron Man game with the HDR pass through one, I might still get it anyway. But if they were to do it, especially with like a special edition helmet, yeah, without a doubt.
Real quick, everybody, I want to give a shout out to Joystick Guru. He is another YouTuber, big into VR. Pleasure to see you in the chat, my friend. We definitely gonna have to hook up and do. You'll have to jump into one of these podcasts with me, and we're gonna have to talk some VR shit, man. So, but with that being said, I'm gonna be ready to wrap it up here in a few minutes, because I think I want to jump on over to Lone Echo and play some more of that. I didn't go to the gym today because I was just floored by all this VR news. So once I get done playing Lone Echo, instead of going to the gym, I'm just going to stay here and do some exercises here, and probably play some Beat Saber to close my night out with some cardio. So
I'd like to be able to go to the gym again, but with my I told you I'd switched my jobs. I didn't really switch my job. I got a different position within the same company. I might as well be going to the gym, because my walk mileage has increased exponentially, and my lifting has increased exponentially. I'm actually lifting most of the time several 60 to 80 pound bags of concrete a day. I apologize for that. My cat decided to go crazy all of a sudden. And I went from thinking, okay, I need to go back to the gym, thinking, wow, my job became a gym.
Yeah, no question about that. Let's see here.
I was reading a lot what was going on down there. People talking about the like what happened with Quantic Dream in Detroit and everything. I actually have a theory on that, but I don't want to bring that into the show now since you're about to close. But just for the food for thought, I really believe that Sony had the rights to all of those games from Quantic Dream, but when that was at Tencent or NetEase, whoever bought into them, I think they bought the contract as well. I was noticing something. I looked through all of my PlayStation 4 games, and at the back of them, if you look near the bottom, next to where like the rating and the region is located at, it'll actually tell you who does the games. Every single PS4 game that has that down there, if it's a third-party game, it tells you the third-party company that they belong to. First-party companies like the Sony games, they all say Sony whatever, I forget now exactly. Let me see if I can find one just real quick, and I'll explain what I'm getting at, if I can just find one real fast.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Oh, here we go. I'll pick up Bloodborne. It says Sony Computer Entertainment America, LLC. Okay, it says that on the base of the case for the for a exclusive PlayStation game. All of the third-party games have their own logo for the company that published them. Detroit Become Human has Sony's name down there too. I really believe that NetEase or whoever it was, when they bought into Quantic Dream, I think they bought that contract, and that's why that the Quantic Dream games are no longer exclusive on PlayStation.
Then that means Sony let it go. If you're right, that means Sony sold it, and it's not a case of Quantic Dreams becoming a free agent and taking the IPs with them.
Well, they had a 3-game deal with Sony. Well, 3-game deal means that typically when you have that's an exclusive agreement, those games belong to those two companies cooperatively, I guess is the right way for it. I think when they bought that, I think when NetEase bought into the company, they literally bought that contract as well. Whether or not Sony could stop them or not, I don't know. It said they bought a minority stake into the company, but it might have been a whole lot more money than what we realized.
Yeah, but that sounds odd for a company to buy minority stake into a company, but then they control where the game goes after that. I would be led to believe that if Sony still owned the rights to this game, as you were saying, that they would have had to work something out with Sony for Sony to turn it loose. And
maybe too much money. Might have been just too much money. Because all of the, like I said, all the games that I have here, if they're third party, even the ones that say like only on PlayStation, on the bottom it still says by the parent company that developed them.
You know what? Now that I stop and think about it, Detroit Become Human hasn't even been out a full year yet.
No, it hasn't.
And it's already been announced to go on to PC.
Right.
It will be, that game will be a year old in May.
Yeah, you're correct. But here's something to think of too. Remember, just a couple months ago, they also released all 3 games on one, like I think it was like 1 disc or 3 disc or whatever that you can buy in the stores on the shelf. That also says only on PlayStation on it. But if you go back to, I think it was the Video Game Awards, I believe it was that one, when Sony was doing their presentation talking about their games that come out the year and like their big heavy hitters, they never not once mentioned Detroit Become Human. It was not there at their show. I think it was at the Video Game Awards.
But at the same time, though, if Quantic Dreams, as well as this Chinese company with minority stake in the company, took control of this game and they control the distribution of this game, don't you think they would have allowed this game to come to the Xbox platform as well?
That one there does kind of call into question, but don't forget, Quantic Dream may not have, like, they may have specifically asked not to allow that one on Xbox, because remember, Heavy Rain was originally offered to Microsoft, and Microsoft turned it down. With Quantic Dream, I'd be like, you know, hey, look, they turned it down, so we're not even going to do anything about that, you know. And they may have agreed to it, or it could be just a time thing. I mean, if it's going to PC, say whatever time this year it's going to PC, sometime after that it may end up going to Xbox. But see, I think it's NetEase that bought into them, but Tencent owns a portion of Epic. Epic is the one who's getting the 1-year exclusivity of it. I'm thinking that Tencent and NetEase, I don't know if they're together or not, I'm not sure, but that may have had something to do with why it's going, you know, a year exclusivity on Epic.
Yeah.
Because I was seeing people mention...
Yeah, that's something I had not considered, that maybe Epic's the biggest reason why it's not on the Xbox platform yet, because they're trying to snatch up exclusivity with a number of games. So yeah, it's a lot of shit to sort out to me.
There was something you just said there that caught my attention, and I seen a Twitter thing from Craig, and then it made me lose my train of thought. Epic, yeah. Sony has special deals with Epic. Remember, they have like the special bundles and everything for Fortnite. They have, like, I don't know what they got going on, but they have like a close relationship with Epic right now. That may have also had something to do with it. Maybe whenever NetEase bought into Quantic Dream, Sony may have lost the deal, but they may have also suggested, hey, look, if you're going to put this game on PC, go through the Epic store. Don't go through Steam.
Big possibility. I mean, that's, I don't know. That's weird. But to me, it's no big deal to me. The game already came out. We've played it. If somebody hasn't played the game by now, they're probably not interested in it. So to me, I don't really see what the big deal is about that game going to the Epic store.
Well, that was one of Sony's big 3 last year that came out, and then that one just kind of got dropped out of their list. Remember, I said that I think it was at the Game Awards, which that was, I believe, around the same time that there was a rumor going around that Microsoft might be acquiring, who is it now? Quantic Dream. There was a rumor going around that time. I don't know if you remember that rumor or not, but it was right around the time of the Game Awards.
I don't remember a rumor about Microsoft looking into acquiring them, but I know there was stuff floating around about, you know, the Xbox wanting Microsoft to pick them up.
Well, there was a couple, like 3 different companies. One of them was supposed to have had close dealings with Sony. They were saying that Microsoft might pick up Quantic Dream. They might pick up Ready at Dawn, or they might pick up Supermassive. I think that was the three that they were talking about at that point. If I remember right, that was all right around the Game Awards. But at that Game Awards event, Sony did not mention Detroit Become Human on their stage as one of the big games. Like they talked about Spider-Man, they talked about God of War. That was it. They didn't even talk about Detroit. So at that point, I knew there was something going on, but it wasn't until recently that we discovered what that was.
Mm-hmm. Let me respond to Guy Cole real quick. He said, I legit want Sony to acquire Remedy, though. Guy Cole, the reason I would like, you know who I would like to see Sony acquire, and I said this yesterday on my Lone Echo stream, I would like for Sony to acquire Ready at Dawn. And these are the people who did The Order 1886. They also did the Lone Echo game that I played yesterday that I plan on playing tonight. The game that I was saying is the best looking VR game that I've ever seen. Knowing who developed that game now is no surprise that it looks so damn good. That game looks amazing. It has a AAA look to it, you know, Lone Echo.
I'll have to check out your. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Go ahead.
I was about to say, I'll have to check out your streams on it because I hadn't even heard of the Lone Echo. So I'm going to have to look into
my
that.
stream is not, it won't do you any justice because, you know, because of my internet, you know, the GeForce experience kind of recommends that I stream it at 720p at 60 frames per second. So you're going to see some of those pixelating blocks in the video and that kind of stuff. My video of Lone Echo just isn't going to do you any justice. I recommend typing in the game and finding someone that's showing this thing at the best quality. And to see it in VR is just unbelievable. It has a AAA look to it. It is so detailed. It is so interactive. And now that I know that Ready at Dawn were the ones who developed this game, now it's no surprise to me. With that being said, I think Sony should acquire Ready at Dawn and make it official. Even if you don't bring them back to do the sequel to The Order 1886, at least bring them in to do VR games because they showed they could do it with flying colors.
And that would be great. I'd love to see a sequel to The Order. The Order was one of my favorite games of the early part of the generation. I know it might sound weird or biased, but I enjoyed the game thoroughly. From the moment I picked it up to the moment I put it down, I had fun with it. I enjoyed it. When I seen people were trashing it online, it's like, wow, guys, really? I mean, the game was fun. The only issue I had with it was the short time frame on it, and that was just because the game made you want more.
Yeah, that was the general complaint about the game, was that it was too short.
It was like the greatest horror movie ever made that didn't have the villain get staked at the end, you know, or whatever you want to call it. It was amazing. I loved it. I would have liked more, you know, which I think even Ryan/VidCloud, I don't know who, you know, you want to go by, you call him by.
Yeah.
But he mentioned like the boss battles and everything. And it's like, yeah, well, just the werewolf battles, the minuscule mention of the vampires and everything. I wish they could have done more with that because I think it would have really blew that game up. But the visuals alone, I could only imagine what they could do with that kind of technology in the PS5. Because the visuals for a PS4 game, the visuals was phenomenal. There's not many PS4 games that actually look that good now, or even just games in general look that good. I mean, you're talking most within the last 2 to 3 years that actually look as good as The Order's what it did back in, what was it, 2014, 2015 when it launched?
Mm-hmm.
And to see that kind of tech converted onto the PS5, but with new stories, new, well, definitely a sequel and everything, but new everything, but done with the PS5 tech. If they could actually get those guys to do it again, if they're willing to work together, Sony gives them a bigger budget to work on it, longer time frame to work on it, I could see a sequel to The Order really being amazing. It could be, you know, I was trying to think of a game to you know, kind of like what is a game similar to it, but that it would raise the bar for, and I just can't think off the top of my head right now.
Well, I think at a $60 price tag, if they were to invest in a sequel to The Order 1886, I would like to think that it probably wouldn't cost Sony no more than $50 or $60 million to have a sequel for the Order 1886, and the game has a cult following. With that being said, if they were to invest in that game, I think at the very least they would get their money back. I don't think they would lose on it. At the very least, I think they'd break even. In the case of Horizon Zero Dawn, you had one of their developers take a chance on a totally new IP, and look how that worked out for them. Horizon Zero Dawn was a smash hit, so I don't think they could go wrong doing a sequel to the Order 1886. And even if Sony didn't want to go that route, I still think that to bring them in, to have them develop VR games for the next generation, I think we could possibly see games from them that would look better than Lone Echo.
Oh, definitely. And I'm only saying that because the newer tech, as far as what Lone Echo, I'm sure Lone Echo looks amazing. Although I can't, see it. I mean, I'd have to go and check it out for myself, but I don't have a way to play it myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to be able to stream games like what you're talking about doing there. But my internet is just so bad, I can't stream. I'm thankful, but surprised that this here has gone as smoothly as what it has, because you haven't said anything about a stutter in the sound.
No, not one bit. You're coming through loud and clear. You're coming through perfectly. You haven't botted or buffered or anything.
Awesome. I was actually concerned about that because I did a live stream with Zaire last year. We were playing Bloodborne together, and I don't know if it's because we were on Twitch or what, because Twitch messes with I can't even do my data on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And it buffers almost constantly with Twitch. And when we were trying to do a live stream with Bloodborne, it was actually causing me a lot of issues in the game. I ended up dying because I was lagging so bad in Bloodborne that it made it almost impossible. I don't know if it's my internet connection or Twitch or what, I don't know. But I'm actually glad that I was able to do this with you tonight, because you know me, I love talking VR. I'm still wanting to do my VR game that I told you about. I've been thinking up new ideas and everything. I actually wanted to contact you about them here a while back to get some more input from you. I haven't really worked on my actual programming stuff lately because I got distracted and sort of sidetracked. I want to get back onto that here real soon. I have more time now since I've started this new job.
Oh, okay.
But I've definitely got a lot of new ideas that I was wanting to implement.
When it comes to VR, what I'd like to see happen, is blown wide open. I've said that yesterday. I'd like to see as far as VR goes, I'd like to see a AAA game in every genre. I'd like to see a Madden fully playable in VR. I'd like to see MLB The Show fully playable in VR. I'd like to see a Rainbow Six fully playable in VR. Not the filler that we got in Firewall. Firewall's a great game, but nothing would be better than to have the real McCoy in Rainbow Six or Battlefield being fully playable in VR. When it comes to racing, I know we're going to get what we want, next generation, because I'm almost certain that whatever the next iteration of GT is, GT Sport, what have you, I'm pretty sure it's going to have a VR multiplayer. So that request is going to be fulfilled. So yeah, in that aspect, every genre of the video game industry, I'd like to see a AAA title, at least one AAA title in every genre as far as VR goes. But but I want to get ready to wrap this up. But before I do want to say to Impatient Fire and Christopher Hart, I know you guys are big into VR and you guys have been following me for a while. So I would love to have you guys, do the same thing like we're doing right here. You guys come and join me in the podcast and let's talk some VR. So with that being said, it was a pleasure having you on here, Emyrus. We've been talking about doing this for a while, talking about what we thought about the state of VR, and now I'm talking about it on a podcast. It was a pleasure to have you here.
I'm grateful for the chance to be here with you, and today seemed like that was the reason I requested the chance to join you on here. With today's announcements, it seemed like the perfect time to hop on and talk to you about it.
No question. With that being said, make sure you keep in touch so we can, as dreams draws closer, or Concrete Genie, we'll definitely revisit this and especially, you know, hopefully we'll have some more information, or, you know, the next time, you know, this comes up, maybe we get together after the game comes out. You tell me what you think of it.
Well, I just before we go, I do want to say one thing about the dreams. I wasn't sure how, when we originally talked about it, I wasn't sure what I could really do with dreams with my ideas. But I have seen some stuff that people have pulled off in dreams since we talked about it, and it's like, yeah, this is where I'm definitely going to have to try to build my demo app, because I want to build sort of like think of like a small build, a short build, whatever you want to call it. Like, this is an idea of what I'm wanting to put together in the long term to kind of give you or other people an idea. This is where I'm wanting to head with my ideas, and seeing what some people have put together in the Dreams beta, I think it was. I'm excited for Dreams.
Something else I just thought of too while we're on the subject of Dreams. Keep me posted on your progress in Dreams, and whatever it is that you do in Dreams. If I can have access to it, I will play it and stream it.
Oh, well, that's as soon as I get the chance to get my hands on Dreams, if I can do what I'm hoping I can do with it, yeah, that won't be in question, definitely. And I want your opinion on this or that within the VR scope. Give me ideas how I might be able to improve it here or there. You know, let me know what you think, basically, and I will work around what you've given me to actually come out with something hopefully amazing that you and other people who are huge VR fans will, in the long term, enjoy.
Without a doubt, and I definitely appreciate that you're willing to take my input into consideration. I definitely appreciate that. So with that being said, you know, I think it's time for us to go ahead and close shop. I'm ready to go ahead and move on over and play some games. And yeah, I'm on 10-hour shifts, so I can't stay up terribly late. So sooner I get some gaming in, the better. With that being said, again, you know, I want to thank you for coming by. The chat, I definitely want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is today was just absolutely huge news. If you are a VR enthusiast, you know, 2019 is going to be a great year for VR.
Well, thank you for having me here. I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate the time of getting to talk with you and share my thoughts and opinions with other people in the chat.
Without a doubt. All right, everybody, you guys know what to do. Give it a like, you know, like, share, comment, you know. I appreciate everybody being here. And we'll see you in a little bit when I jump on the, more than likely on the Oculus Extreme Lone Echo. We'll see you in a little bit.
Yep, have a good one.
Yep, that'll do it. We'll catch you guys later.
See ya.
See ya.